Welcome back to the second half of Hacking Infinity Meatybones!
Hello.
I'm so programmed to expect the other thing.
I always expect Meatybones.
No one expects Meatybones!
That's the thing. It's the opposite. Everyone expects Meatybones at all. You say their name enough, and they're there with a plate of honey cakes and be like, "Hello." Yeah. So I guess this is part where I take over.
Yeah, I mean, unless you need like a few minutes to think of a thing, we can, I'm sure I could
let me look down.
Fill some. we could world build some more. What?
It's so tempting. It's like no, I can't overwork something. I'm so good at overworking things. So we can go over. I think you just got to jump into it.
Yeah.
So
what place do we start off in?
You are both at the. You know what? Let's start off with the last thing we said, that you were at the annual airship convention, and the town is currently at mid-tide. I think it waxes and wanes over the course of like a decade, and it's on the rise, but you're still pretty okay. You've lost a few of the lower towns, but that means that the higher the water is for you, the more influence that the merfolk have. The Morlock folk have over the council, because it's all one community. Despite no matter where you live along the river, you have a voice on the council, and so now it's the things that are being shown for being voted on are open fishing restrictions, and like make new channels over here so water can flow properly, and when it's for people, it's fix the roads and make the bridges stronger. There's an ebb and flow with politics as well as the population. And right now, the sort of land dwellers are sensing that they have another 5 years or so until they're on their way out. And I think the mayor, during one of Gervona's fancy dinners, brings up an issue. And I have to ask, is Curdle at that dinner? Like, are you all together, or is it like they only come to certain?
Well, okay.
You would be welcome to come, because you're always welcome to butt in on my stuff.
Okay. Well, does the dinner serve like a political function as well, or is it just like
well, that's up to you. You're hosting a dinner of 10 folks. Begram is one of them, and there's a couple of like visiting captains who like won the chance to have dinner at your table. So there's a couple of rowdy boys at the table as well, and so a couple of townsfolks just to come on the regular. But the intent of the dinner could be up to you.
Okay. Yeah. So I think I go. I telling myself that I'm just going to complain, that the purpose of going is to complain about the food.
Yeah. Which you find harder to do on days like this, because people come from all over and bring supplies with them. So it's one of those, it's like when the astronauts get restocked for like a month, they have fresh fruit and vegetables, and they eat a bunch of that, and it's really delicious. And then for the rest of the culinary desert time, it's packs of paste. So you know that your experience with this has been, it's harder to complain, but you can find something.
Oh yeah.
Like you can.
Not a problem.
There have been, like, you've been here 100 years. There have been other conventions where the food has been better. You're sure of it. You're 100%. Yeah, you could find something. So is
a mere 12 years ago they had those berries.
The size of your fist.
Oh yeah.
we were called oranges. So. I love the idea of like in the fantasy world, it's always this thing, but this weird thing is attached to it. Like,
yeah,
it's a horse, but it's a beard. It's a spider, but it's giant. Yeah. So, Colonel, are you at this this opening? Like, there are dinners all over the city. Are you at this particular opening?
Yes, damn it, I am.
Okay. So you're there to complain.
Yes.
And then, okay.
I mean, against my better judgment, I'm there.
Against your better judgment, you're here to complain. So, yeah, you go to dinner, and it's a little more opulent than you were thinking. Giovanna, what's the main centerpiece for this particular meal? Do you have an idea?
Let me think.
Of an opulent. Oh, it's a dog. It's a dish that barks when you cut into it. It's letting out air, but it sounds like a bark.
I think.
Yeah.
I may have to let out this dog at some point, but I'm going to try and finish my sentence.
Okay.
So I think it might be like some sort of crystal that changes into like a triad of different colors. Like I had to pick this one out specifically because there's just crystals that change color.
Which is normal, and everyone's seen that.
Yeah.
But 3 colors.
Yeah, but it's like each one has like different qualities, and some are aesthetically. Oh god, I'm playing the same character all over again. Some are aesthetically.
That's okay.
Like resonant. Like many of them are just like it's different colors all the time.
Sure. Does it change the flavor of the food as you eat it?
I think it could definitely like emit like an aroma or something like that changes from color to color, and that aroma changes like how you perceive the taste of the food. Yeah. Makes total sense to me.
Like having like a steamed pine needle thing under your butternut squash soup is.
Yeah.
Do you want to let that puppy out real quick and?
Yeah.
Or real slow, or however speed you.
Yeah, exactly. I'll come right back. Also, I want to say that the reason that I'm having this dinner at all is so that we people of the older like political niche can get together and figure out what we care about, what we're doing, what we're trying to like organize our parties so that we have.
There are no aquatic folk here.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay. You're not racist. You just didn't happen to invite anyone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Perfect.
Right. Terrific.
Yeah, I have Murloc friends.
Yeah.
It's not a thing.
Yeah, and there's also like it's not just like you two. There's a portion of this river that like it at one time broke off into a swamp that is now dried up, that like centaurs live in, but they still live in the buildings that you have. They're just sort of like a low constant. Like they don't have their political power doesn't go up and down. It is they have like a low level influence on everything because they don't come to these meetings a lot. It's a lot of bridges they don't like to walk on, but they're there.
They try to speak up in meetings, but they're hoarse.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I didn't understand the completeness of the joke until you apologized for it, and then the dad filter kicked in. And I was like, oh yeah. Yeah, but no. And it's kind of like they would act as like land guards, like assuring people like ushering them into the city, like on the roadways. Like PR people, like, oh, we have centaurs too. We're not just fish people and weird spire folk.
Spire folk.
Spire folk. Yeah.
So is that role official, or is it just sort of a thing that they tend to do?
I think it's just a thing they tend to do. Like, they're more freedom, but to be considered part of the township, they have to be involved at least this minimal amount. And they like they're still part of the township, so like the better the core of it does, the more it like goes out along the waterways. It's the literal trickle down theory, but in a way that
oh, it works. Oops, yeah. I said something political again.
No. It's fantasy politics. Don't worry, folks. It's not real or related to anything.
Yeah. Because I would never interject politics into a game stream.
Like capstoneism? That's not a...
Yeah.
I love it. I love world building, so I also love adventure. Gotta focus on both. So, I don't want to do too much while Adam is away.
I'm back.
You're back!
Yes, everything's changed.
Everything's changed.
Yeah, the centaurs are now in charge.
Yeah, there was like a swamp.
Oh!
They're a vocal minority. So there's a section of centaurs that, like, the power of the land folk and the merfolk kind of like ebb and wane, like I said. But there's also like a river section that flooded a swamp but has now dried up a little bit. That centaurs are still technically part of the town, but they don't come to a lot of the meetings because, you know, horse legs. Not to be racist, but your bridges aren't made for them.
Yeah.
But they still have like some folks here. So they are a low level hum in the world of Bellhaven politics. So you all are here to talk about the things you want to do to ensure a productive and profitable transition between power segments.
Exactly.
And complain about the food.
Yes.
Also important.
Okay, so what are the merfolk or the murlocs, depending on which way we're going with that?
Murloc folk.
Yeah. What do they do that we don't agree with or don't appreciate or things like that?
Well, I think a lot of it is you all care about the town as a group, but the merfolk like shift focus from like fixing the buildings and building up an infrastructure to more ecological based things like fishing rights and waterways and making sure the canals are refreshed and it does help, but it's one of those things like, well, they're downriver, you don't see the benefits of the way they take care of the land. So maybe that's a way that you're like, well, we understand that it's important, but it's not important for everyone. And we care about everyone, even though it's the things that you do are town structure based, trade based, organizing this airship event.
We have mutual, like, going both ways. There are things that each other cares about that, like, neither of us have any use for from the other side because they come from underwater and, like, we don't really touch the water that much.
Yeah, it's like they don't care about airships. Why would they?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, they can just travel via water, or if they have to go on land, they can.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, their whole agenda is fishy.
One of the captains goes, yeah, fishy. He guys like slaps you on the back a little bit, and then like a mouse trap comes off, like got me again. I think they rub their head with like a few of their fingers are already swollen through like handshakes that they failed with you, and
there's like little dents in the middles of their fingers, like like all the fingers. Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, I have built a better mousetrap.
I did it while you were having that sandwich. So what sorts of things are you pushing for? Like there's not like a handing off of political power. It's just sort of like eventually fades. So is there something that you would like to ensure that your people keep during this transitional phase? Because I could also send you after like monsters in the deep, make it a very, very classic fantasy.
Yeah. So I think we need to make it as easy for people as possible to come in that are like land-based folk. So like we need to keep the spires magnetized and keep them energized. Because if we don't, then we kind of lose influence with the rest of the land world.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we'll need boats.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there are underwater canals that cut through under, like if you look at the picture, there's that big waterfall. But I imagine that there's like covered sections that are open during certain times that you could like sail boats through, and they go through like underground caverns that are like lock system pulled up into the land.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So regardless of this picture, is there any way that a human could just walk a trail up to the top of the waterfall? It doesn't seem like
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like if you picture like over those waterfalls, like bridges being built between spires, and then like it's like
gotcha.
like those very green mountainous ranges in China, how there are trails that go up it, and they're like bridges going across some of them, but it's hard to do, but they do exist, especially during like the drier the season, the more pathways there are. But as you get into the more watery season, like I say season, but it's like every 5 years, 10 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Is the more they get covered up. So you've tried to build like land bridges between, but if it's hard to do and hard to maintain, but that's something you would try to do. Yeah. And I also imagine like after this waterfall thing, it kind of like flows out and it's like a little steppy, but there are like you can take boats up to it, and you could loop the cargo and like raise it up to the spires depending on how high the level is. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. So in that way, downstream does affect you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So keeping the towers energized with crystals, and I think the crystals can come from trade. Like there are folks in the far north of Canada that can bring them in on airships, and they're a similar enchantment as that, like a similar energy signature. Kind of like that keeps islands afloat, but keeps the whole system going. But there's also there's always rumors that you try to get during the dry times of explorers going down into the cave systems under the waterfalls, where they find a more powerful but shorter burning crystal. Like it's got less of a half-life, more of it. Anyways, it doesn't last as long, but it's more powerful. And you think if you can ensure that, you'll be able to, like, that'll be good for you. but it's very dangerous to do, and they haven't been able to secure a route to the source, and they grow very fast as well, which is also dangerous.
So we need to spread rumors to attract adventurers so that they can go into these caves and buy stuff. Mostly buy stuff.
The mayor thinks like, well, we care about people buying things, but yes, it's adventurers. I don't know about inviting more outsiders into town with dangerous, and he sort of like looks at you like dangerous ideas about circumstances and right to treasure. They may keep them for themselves.
Well,
I think we need somebody from our own company to perhaps venture down.
Who brings more wealth into the town than adventurers? I mean, really, they have nothing better to spend it on than
there are so many. So you hear about the treasures and the hoards that they just. Well, I wouldn't mind having some of that for the town.
Well, I mean, and how else do you expect to get it than by attracting them rather than having them wander off to Waterdeep or something?
I think narratively, Gervona has gone to get something like another soup. The mayor's like,
don't tell me. She's going to get more dead food.
It's quite delicious. You just add a bit of this spicy sauce here, and he like pulls out like this tiny vial, like little like skull and crossbones. Just a drop would do you. It really jazzes it up.
Oh, now you're trying to poison me. I knew it. I knew it.
No, I'm not trying to poison you while she's out of the room. That would be absurd. So the pirates like kind of giggle nervously, like.
So the skull and crossbones on it are for my health.
Or add some to my own. Like very carefully, like just like tips it, and like a single like very very like blood red drop like drops into a soup, and as it hits, there's like a ripple out, and the whole thing like gets slightly orange and then fades back to its normal color. It's like there, that's perfectly fine. And he hands the bottle to you again.
Of course, like I've never built up a tolerance to a poison to defeat my enemies. Oh, that's the oldest one in the book.
Back, please tell your good friend like that I'm not trying to poison him with the spicy sauce that I have. I've added some to my own, and they accuse me of poisoning them. I would never.
Humans.
We said you went to get a soup and you then came back.
Okay, cool. Gervona, mainly just like watches and like, she's like kind of running the hospitality of the whole thing. Like, I don't think she has like anyone else to help her cook.
Oh, that you would trust.
But she's listening to the conversation, and also she's doing this to like let everyone speak, and like, because if you just don't talk, people will try to fill silence, she finds out, and sometimes they blurt out what they're honestly thinking. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of a tactic she uses.
Yeah.
Good tactic. And then she gets the last word. So this is how that works.
And that's what they'll remember. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. Wait.
Yeah. So currently, the mayor and Colonel are bickering over whether or not the spicy hot sauce is poisoned or not. There's other conversations going on the table too, but they seem to have distracted themselves from the important meeting that you had pulled them all sort of like, not pulled them to do, but sort of wanted to direct the conversation to. They've gotten a little bit off track.
Mm-hmm. Well, they're like kind of amalgamating themselves and getting like the conversation sort of warming up, and like I said, they just kind of blurt things out. So I'm happy to foster the off-topicness, because I don't think I've said like this dinner is done when the sun sets.
Yeah.
I think it's just like it might go on into the night. It's just gonna be like how long it takes.
Yeah, and things like this happen. It's like those table for two dinners that last like 5 hours. There's always something in those conversation, and if the party like does end early, there's always stuff to do for the I said convention, but that's what it is. Conflagration. Anyways, yeah, so they're currently bickering, and I think it goes on for a bit, and then the mayor like tries to like pour stuff. He's like, no, just try it. You're so sensitive. And
Stop it.
Like
Stop it.
tries to like put it in your soup. He's like, just give it a single shot.
Ruin it. Although there is a problem. Dravona, there's no fly in my soup.
The mayor frowns. It's like,
I can search for one.
Yeah, would you like to try to find a fly? Do you have like a small vial of flies already done for when Colonel visits? Or do you have to go out and catch one?
I think I've seen one around in the kitchen, but I've lost track of where it is at this particular moment because I don't know. I've had the windows open, so
yeah.
A fly
also,
just
you're not eating in the kitchen, so.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm gonna find a fly.
Okay. How would you like to find a fly? I also love that this is our first roll. I love this game so much. It's just nonsense.
Marvelous. Oh, so I have a perfect idea. Naturally, the best way to find a fly is to let the spiders do all the work for you.
Sure.
Yeah. This might be web weaving.
I think, yeah, that you've knew that Colonel, like, maybe you didn't know they were going to be here originally, but once they showed up, you're like, they're going to want to fly. I don't have any flies, but I'm going to have to catch a fly by the time the soup comes out. So during your cooking, you went and you coaxed a spider into making a web. So this is how well you've done that and where you've positioned it.
Perfect.
To catch that fly.
Cool.
I love it.
How shall I roll? Should I
you just click it.
Okay.
Click the word. Yeah. I think.
Bam.
Okay. You have advantage, so you get a success. You're between 10 and 15. So yeah, you find a nice, fat, juicy fly in one of the webs you weave.
There's also a huge butterfly that's gotten caught in there as well.
But the spider kind of ate part of it, and you're like,
yeah. So now it's just kind of decorating the web.
Yeah. So it looks nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you use your fly tongs, snatch it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And put it on like a tiny little doll dish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like how like if you ask for olives or extra lemons or something, you just get like an extra dish of
Yeah, and the mayor sees this, and some of the pirates are like, and one of the pirates is like, oh, he's got like a dragonborn down at the end of the table. He's like, yes, that's a bit of spice. Yes, absolutely. Flies, delicious for protein. Make it like nod emphatically towards you, like yes.
Mm-hmm. That's the problem with people these days. Not enough. They don't need enough protein.
Exactly. It builds muscles, and they like flex, and like they're slightly fancier clothes that they probably borrowed for someone, like rips a bit, and they're like, oh, sorry, excuse me. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And at this, the mayor's like, that's what I mean. It's people coming in from bringing their dangerous ideas about wealth distribution and fly consumption. I haven't been here 100 years. I don't know. He's just like muttering things. Like, I believe we should find one of the townsfolk to. He's like, yeah.
You're not fooling anybody. You're a child. You're not a day over 50.
I am dead several weeks over it. How dare you? Came to my birthday party uninvited, but you came nonetheless, and you should know how old I
am. You're right. That is yes. that is definitely modern history.
Like his face is starting. I am picturing like the slightly rotund mayor with like an ascot up and like a little hobbit vest, and it's like,
yeah,
I'm very professional. I'm doing my job.
Oh, and by the way, part of the wing broke off, but it's okay.
He's so flustered. He's like still has the sauce in his hands. He adds another drop to his soup without noticing it. Like puts it on the counter, and then it flashes like a deeper red as then it fades back to its normal food color. Like when you're fighting a boss and it goes from green to yellow to orange to red. He's like, well, I believe that. I mean, you sell enough traps to adventurers. You must know something about adventuring. Nothing else.
What do you want to know?
What if you went and found out where these crystals were? You seem to be the enterprising sort. Put some of those traps you spent to good use instead of like muttering about townsfolk and kids going missing. Which hasn't happened. Like, it's one of those rumors, like, if you go near the shop, you're going to go missing, but it's never actually happened recently.
Not during his tenure.
Yeah, exactly. Not since he's been there.
Well, I guess I'll consider your errand if it's.
Yes. Good.
But surely there's there's some, I don't know, someone foolhardy that's that is fond of wearing red tunics that you could hire instead.
Well, I don't like to talk about that group. And I think there was an adventuring party a few years ago that were like, I think it was just called the Red Band of Courageous Folk, and none of them came back. And like some of their like tunics like floated out of the caves weeks later. But
can we please just end this game like every adventuring party is something like Robin Hoodsian?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. There's a merry band this and
these folk and these adventuring friends, or it's like they're bad names for adventurers just starting out. We keep hiring like the cheapest people. They keep disappearing into the caves. It's not even safe.
The Dark Iron Brigade.
Yeah, that's another one. Yep, I'm gonna put that down. They were
Sherwood's finest.
Yeah, and it was just called Sherwood's Finest.
They lasted about 5 minutes.
Yeah. One of the bridges collapsed underneath them. They didn't even make it out of. They washed downstream and just left. They didn't die. Like, they still exist, but
they fell in with the Murlocs.
They literally fell in with the Murlocs. This game is just going to be bad portmanteaus and puns. I'm okay.
I remember there was all night. It was ridiculous.
There was a big party. It was very upsetting. So the mayor is trying to convince you personally to lead the group to go do this thing. So what would it take for them to convince you to do it? What things would they have to meet? So this is like a negotiation thing. They'll both roll, and depending on what you want, is what happen. Yeah.
I guess what I want is for it to somehow be embarrassing for him. I don't care. I don't actually care about the financial reward. I mean, that's not all that important to me.
Okay. Has to be embarrassing to the mayor. All right. And he would like you to disappear into the caves, but he wants you to he actually does want you to go in and find the crystals with a competent crew. And I think another thing is that if the most he wants out of it is that you put, while you're gone, you disarm your shop and either close it completely or put it in the hands of someone he trusts. Because I think he's been trying to like get somebody into your shop for a while to sort of like spy at things and get proof that you're a danger. So the highest peak of his success would be having you hand your shop over to someone else while you're away.
Okay.
And so you want to up the embarrassing to the mayor? Or is it just the more embarrassing, the higher the differential? Or perhaps you get freedom to run your shop as you will forever and ever. Like no more inquiries, no more audits, no petitioners.
I think a higher differential is that he's both embarrassed and out of my scales.
Yeah, out of your scales. Yeah, like politically and
now if he does especially well, does that mean that
it's just while you're away?
Okay, but is this me having to agree to disarm everything and let someone in, or I mean, do I just have to say that, or do I have to do that?
You have to do it. Like, okay. So his lower level success is that you disarm your shop and just close it up while you're away. His high level success would be you put one of his people in charge and of your shop while you're gone. And your low level has to be embarrassing to the mayor, and it can be more embarrassing. We can carry that on, but also he no longer bothers the shop once you come back, or agrees to before you even go. Do you think that's equivalent negotiation to start off with?
No, I don't actually. Like it
no longer bothers you forever and ever.
Yeah, I mean it'd be like I'd be fairly willing to close up the shop, but disarming it while I'm away is right. that is not something that I'm
we can do it
going to want to do.
There's close, there's disarm, and there's put a spy in charge.
Okay.
And then we could have be embarrassing and give you leeway for a little while, or no longer bother you forever.
Okay.
Does that seem all right before we start?
We're good.
Roll dice? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, do you have any special skills that would help you in this negotiation with the mayor,
yes.
your rival.
Uh-huh.
That would give you advantage.
Well, this whole negotiation...
Because he certainly does.
Okay. The thing is, you know, I think I may have like this plan to embarrass him. This whole negotiation is a trap.
He's gonna get embarrassed no matter what happens. He cannot win. And he's gonna use voice of the people. So that is because he is the mayor. He is like well versed in double talk and promising one thing and delivering another. He's going to use that. And I think we just
and just one skill matters, right? Like
just
there's
one.
The second one that was applied. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
But this is the way you approach it is that this is a trap. Like no matter what he does, it's going to be bad for him in some way, just depending. And we're gonna do the like if you're over by 5 points, you get that first level. If you're over by 10, so and the other way as well.
Okay.
All right. So, got a 16.
Okay.
Pretty good.
So,
because he had advantage. So you would click the thing.
Okay.
Words. Those sevens everywhere. 7, 17, 7, 7. 14's 2 7s.
Bang. What's that? There we go.
So you do succeed, but still within that modicum of the first. So you get what you want. So let me just go back to my notes. So many tabs. So you'll do it, but it's going to be embarrassing. Like he has to, and like you don't have to come back as a success. You just have to go. And like if you find the crystals, yes, but he can't like get on your case of not succeeding in this venture. So what embarrassing thing? I mean, because I could think of something. I was thinking that he has to do like he has to let you design a part of a park that they're like rebuilding higher, like one of those mid things, and he like do the ribbon cutting himself and give a speech as to how important you are to the community and like go back on things that he said about you, like really praise you in public. But he can think of something, or Adam can think of something too that would embarrass the mayor.
Well, I think
I like that.
Yeah, I think the general shape of it might just be like, well, yeah, I'll consider your offer, but you should ask me again, publicly.
Like, I think he takes a bite of his soup, and the same time you say that, he realizes that he had like doubled the spice level, and you can't tell whether his face gets flushed because of the heat of the soup or because he's so like, and he can't talk.
Yeah.
Because he's like so.
You thought you had built up an immunity, didn't you? But no.
He like takes like a separate. He takes like the ladle out of the tureen of soup and like drinks down the bland version. He's like.
Once again, hoisted on my own petard. You are hoisted on my own petard.
That's not how it works. Very well. If you agree to go, then I will, in public, ask you for the townspeople, for their future. For them, I will sacrifice this. Yes, it's like.
Well, they should just. Yeah, it's important that the townspeople know the importance of kobolds to their livelihood. I mean, if they They might forget and think that it's
yes,
all
so
about the upstart humans.
Not an upstart. We're going to forget. He like sips his. He goes to sip his soup again, and they like grabs and puts his spoon back down, like pushes it away a little bit, and grabs a roll. Yeah. So you have agreed to go find the crystals. Gervona, how do you feel about this development? One of your oldest frenemies is going into the crystally caves of danger alone.
Oh, I am going with him. Okay. For sure, because I know that I know a lot more about crystals than he does. Mm-hmm. So he's going to need a guide once he actually gets there to the crystals. Sure. And he's going to need a way to harvest it, and I have a crystal harvester. So
it only makes sense that you go. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I end the entire conversation with basically just with like, and the person to accompany him shall be me.
And the guy's like, oh, well, I guess if you insist. I mean, it's such a he can't say things that he's gonna say about Colonel in the speech to your face, so he has to be like, mm-hmm. Since I sure you want to leave the shops, I know it's going to be quite busy in the next fall season. You're sure, grandmother? I don't.
And I put up my finger to silence him, and I say, he will need guidance once he's down there, and the shop is well defended on its own. He's like, and then the camera flashes over to like a view of the shop, which is just like there are like spiders crawling in the corners in like the supply room. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and like
just, it goes to the huge spiders that are poisonous.
There's like it's like zooms in, it's like, oh, there's a little spider, and then like a leg steps in front of the camera and it pulls back, and it's just like this massive dog-sized thing.
Yeah, and I think a little bit later, like after we've like started to get up, it occurs to me to say something about, of course, she knows all about the crystal frou stuff, but the moment's passed, so I think.
Yeah, it's that thing you remember, like, oh, and people are like fighting all out and saying goodbye, like going to like a lantern release, and you're like, next time,
I'll save it.
Write this one down.
Because everyone knows once Gervona starts talking, the party's over.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that's the way she likes it.
Yeah, you'll have been listening in on everyone's conversation and like shutting them down one by one as you go along. Yeah, I like that idea of you like just buttoning up, like, and you keeping track of all these other conversations happening at the same time. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's also very grandmotherly. Like you pop in at the last minute, it's like, well, you should do this, and they're like, you're right. Of course I should. Yes, that's what I should. Yeah.
Damn it! I can't think of an argument as to why not.
Yeah. And I think that ends that scene there, and we cut to like it's like, yes, in public, and the mayor's like. And there's a speech the next day, like you've gotten like a couple of supplies together. It's like, yes, my lovely townsfolk, and there's like 40 or so. It's during one of the market speeches, so he's technically in public, but he hasn't called like an official meeting. He's like, oh no, tap, and he like does that, like taps a microphone, except it's this like wire wrapped crystal that just like pwings out and draws people's attention to him. Mm-hmm. Because I imagine you would have like, oh nope, and you hand him the thing to make him louder and more noticeable.
Oh, and I think I'll like, before then hire a town crier to say that there's going to be
he's
free
like,
drinks.
Well, I'll make it at the marketplace. Yeah.
Free drinks on the mayor.
So he showed up expecting like the regular crowd, and there's like so many more people. There's like 100, and he's like, yes, my constituents, brave and true to all of our needs together. And there's like a fountain path up, so the Murlocs can listen to. Like, there are still waterways. And I I wanted to let all of you know that in accordance with some late night council meeting and some rushed paper, very well thought out, but we've had this plan in the works for quite some time, and maybe he has, he's wanted to push you out into some deadly adventure before, and you've gotten away. So the paperwork's already done, Matilda style. The adoption forms are already printed out. They just need to sign them. And he's like, yes, we all know how important our heritage is, and how certain folks, like our friend, esteemed friend, his face is just getting a little bit red at the cheeks. He's doing all right. Has helped our community in knowable and unknowable ways.
Remind them that you're not desperate.
And although we are sad to see them go, we are happy that they are bring the town in whatever way they can.
In an invaluable fashion.
And invaluable fashion.
Invaluable.
Invaluable. and I don't think he doesn't fix this. He says in a valuable fashion, and has volunteered their services to venture off and assist the town in a collection of a rare material that will help us all and prosper in the future. And we would like to thank them with their sacrifice. And then he bows to you a little bit. He's like, thank you for coming. Appreciate the turnout. It was very surprising. Have a wonderful day.
I think that maybe we should celebrate my altruism with another round. What say, everybody?
Yes, another round on our good friend. And he slaps you on the back, like a little buzzer on his hand. How did you? Yes, it's I have to go cut a ribbon ceremony. Have a wonderful day. And he scurries off as fast as will go. With a little mayoral sash too, just flapping behind him.
Well, I mean, I would pay for it myself, but I wouldn't want to make a liar of the town crier. I mean, that would be that would be beyond the pale. People would never trust the news forever after. It would put the whole town in ruin. Couldn't do that.
Give me a persuasion check. And Adam, you were saying something?
I'm just going to be as everyone leaves, I'm just going to say to Curdle, I can't believe they didn't mention me at all.
That was not part of the arrangement. But yeah. I think they're so focused in their not rage, but disappointment. Yeah.
They just completely left me out of it. That's fine.
I think you were off to the left, and they kept looking right, and they're yeah. So yeah.
Yeah. How dare he be so rude to you?
And you're saying this leaning up slightly towards the crystal,
oh yeah.
I just happened to say this as it echoes across the marketplace.
Oh, is that thing still on?
Oh.
Was this still enchanted? Oh
no. Would deception count?
Yeah, because you did lie about him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so a couple of the townsfolk do grumble about that, and they're I think that the town crier's yeah, let's it's like saying we should band together and make sure the mayor keeps up with things, and the vendors all agree that they're going to bring like their receipts to the mayor later on. Like they'll give free drinks for now, but they'll keep track of everything. Yeah, so that's gonna he'll have to pay a little bit at least. He'll probably factor it into the budget, but it is. They noticed that the mayor said they would do this thing, but all right, human mayors.
And don't worry, everyone. It's just a small hiccup. Sooner or later, the mayor will get the hang of his position. I'm certain. He's been
mayor for like 15 years.
I know.
Yeah, I think it's definitely one of those things. Like his mother was mayor too. It's not a family thing. She's just really good, and they're like, well, he's good too. He is, just not like as good as you would like. Like there are things that he overlooks that you think are important, like town defense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I mean, there's things he does well. Nothing I would admit. But...
No, of course not, especially in public during an energized crystal. So yeah, you guys have the chance to either go alone or hire some adventurers or get supplies before you head out, or look at old maps of the adventure, like the records of the adventurers that they brought back, to see if you can get any advantages that way. Or you just head straight off. I mean, it's up to you. What would you like to do now that you have this quest? And are we still ending at 4?
I could probably go a bit longer.
Adam, do you have to cut out straight away?
You have that other game, right? When that's the timing on that.
I don't know that that's starting this week. Well, I know that it's not starting this week because I haven't received any word about it.
Oh.
It's usually a pretty good sign.
Yeah. So yeah, I think.
How are you feeling energy-wise?
I think we could. Yeah, I'm curious about that.
We do like a prep scene and end it before you go.
Yeah, maybe. That sounds like a good idea. Like let's prep to go on the adventure and then not do the adventure itself, because the adventure doesn't seem to like there's not like a ton of like different outcomes that could come out of it. Like it's either we get like beaten up in the
there's a lot of outcomes that could happen. Yeah, but that's a good break point of like the build up to go, and then next time we happen to beat a game.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like that.
Yeah, I'm sort of excited about the process of like hiring adventurers to go with us.
Yeah.
I mean, the adventure itself will probably be cool too. But I'm sort of enjoying this perspective of being like the townsfolk.
Yeah, you're not the adventurers themselves. You're like, you've lived here for 100 years, and maybe you've done like 1 or 2 things, and you know how traps work, and you've heard their stories. And we'll have to see how that develops in your. Well, so yeah, hiring adventurers then.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So I guess we need to. Go to the tavern.
Yeah. Oh man, this is so like interesting seeing it from the other perspective. Like, what kind of posts would you do? What would you look for? And
what kind of font do you use on the flyers?
Exactly. Like, is there like what? So you go to the tavern. Yeah. Let me see if I can't. Initiative. I'm on the Donjon site, as classic fantasy adventurers should always know. And there is I think it's under, there it is. Excellent. So you go to the tavern, and for some reason, despite all the architecture of the outside, you know that the first adventure tavern that they go to, once you walk in, it's all dark wood paneling, it's booth seating, there's a hearth on one end, there's a bar next to it, and there's a tavern bar. Like, it's a bar. It's like the TGI Fridays of tavern in D&D.
Yeah.
It was like brought in on an airship, and then you built like a building around it to match the aesthetics of the town. But yeah. And I think it's called the Wandering Widow, because that was the name of the airship that this bar was built into. Like, they build taverns into these airships, and then they land them in towns, and then change the outside.
I like that.
Yeah,
that's really good.
Yeah.
I think Gervona particularly likes this tavern a lot because of the widow pun. Like, that was the reason she first got interested in it, and then she went in and then like actually like ate and drank in there, and then just like
they have tasty tavern food. Like,
yeah,
it's
exactly.
a hearty meal. Yeah.
So is she always hanging around the widow?
Well, it's a fun game, but we're gonna do shout outs.
We're getting up on that hour. I mean, there's 50 minutes left, but shout out. We're gonna take several years. So I started now.
So, Gervona, you like it because of the pun name, and so you've been here a few times. Are you regular?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm probably like, we should look for adventurers here because I've seen them around. There's a lot of them.
Sure.
Yeah.
So perhaps we should ask the bartender if maybe there's been a fight over who gets to sit in the corner. And
trying to find. Okay. Because there's a certain kind of person who sits in the corners of these taverns. There are people who sit at the bar. There's like the middle tables. There's like the shadowy corners.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the most badass adventurers are going to have claimed the corners. And whoever
and each one demands a higher cost, thus creating a financial bubble around the people. When's that bubble going to burst?
Yeah.
There's going to be no adventure.
The real estate bubble on those corner bits is just... Okay. So... Ooh. You go up to the... Let me just copy paste this as the first person you encounter. You go up to the bartender, and they are a human who have like a very thin like ponytail braid going down, and they're rather well dressed. They've been in this town like a decade and 10 years, which is good for businesses because they kind of landed on one of the top of the spires, so they don't have to keep rebuilding. And her name is Mally, Mally, and they sort of look you over, and you know that they also run this tavern, and like there are the brawls of a tavern, and there are like adventure fights to prove your stuff, and you know that they are rather adept at taking care of folks afterwards. Like, they have a particular following of what's that halfling goddess? Let's say no. One of the jovial halfling goddesses of like drinking and fun, and that in any other land they would be called a cleric, but here they're just a bartender, and they're like cleaning glasses. You come up, classic bartender. Like, oh, how you doing, dearie? What can I get for you?
What do I like in as far as ills go? I think I like a super super hoppy ale.
Okay.
Just like the most bitter stuff imaginable.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, your usual then.
I imagine I get looks, and then I say, yes.
Yes. And yeah, she's like, all right, a spiny devil for you. And it's like a slightly green beer, but it's bitter, but it has this like sweet agave taste to it.
Ooh, yeah.
And it comes in one of those like big, like green bottles that you pour a little into a cup, Japanese style, and it's got like a hand printed label with the devil going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's the shot of my hand picking the mug up, and then like the flyer sliding underneath it.
Yeah, and their hand just like goes forward and pulls it up. It's like, oh, what you looking for here? Oh yeah, okay, see, sure, absolutely. I'll put it up on the board. Was there anything in particular? I just overheard you out of character there talking about shadows.
Yeah, down here.
No, oh yes. Shall I get the stool for you, son?
I can manage. I don't suppose you have anything that's served on fire.
Oh, of course we do.
Excellent.
And she kind of looks up and she's like, something fruity or something a bit more buttoned up.
Buttoned up.
All right. And
would have been proud of either choice.
Yeah, and she gets it's a very tall, thin glass, and like layers like a red and a clear and red, a clear, like a peppermint schnapps, and then puts like a few drops of a blue liquid and sparks her hand, and it lights on fire. And she's like, here you are, and she hands it to you very fast. And you can see it like burning down through the liquors. Like it's not just like kind of floating on top, it's like, and as it hits different levels, it changes color.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
You know
so
what?
Does Mally have like one eyebrow missing? So like, she always like lights it on.
She has no eyebrows.
Yeah.
You've never seen her with eyebrows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? I can't even complain about the presentation.
She nods. And
then I'll taste it and be like,
yeah,
I'll like go out of my way to make a face and then say, oh yeah, it's good.
Yeah, it's like moonshine and peppermint with a little bit of like, it's peppermint and cinnamon. Like alone, they're good, but together it's like hot and cold burning at the same time, along with the actual fire. And you burp a little bit, a little like flame comes out. Yeah. And I'm writing all these down because they're going into everything.
Yeah.
So and I think as the taste settles, I make another face. This time not, and this time it's sort of unintentional. Like before, I was like trying to be a dick, but as the flavor settles, I'm like, oh, to myself, that's really good. Damn it.
Yeah, and as you drink, it's like it's cold and then it's warm and it's cold. It's like you don't know if it's enchantment or if it's just like the layers of booze wearing away in your kobold system, but it's a very interesting feeling. Yeah.
And I'm just like, told you. I've had that one before.
You can't have too many a night, but yeah, it definitely has its effect. Yeah.
I believed you. Of course. I mean, well, we should get to business, right?
She's like cleaning another cup. You don't know where it came from. Just like that's her magical ability. Always have a cup on hand.
So I'm like, to Mally, I'm like, if somebody wants to take that flyer for themselves, here's another, and I give her like another like stack of like maybe 20. Like, and they're just like perfectly like they've been Xeroxed or copied or whatever.
Magic Xeroxed.
But in reality, what we see like in my shop, I'm just like I have the pen and the ink, and I just like make a loose outline and then use the spell to like whip the ink into like perfect lines and then
like really tight
stuff. Yeah.
Nice.
And I take like the darkest shade of ink, and then I kind of like stretch it in and like let it bleed a little bit thin, so that it kind of turns into a dark gray. So I'm like getting multiple tones going on in the paper as well.
Yeah. There's like tone dot work on the pictures of like crystal and adventure.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's a little spidery, don't you think?
Mally looks at it, he's like, yeah, I'm not sure what kind of crowd you're gonna get with this one, but I'm sure they'll be proficient in the dark caves. I'll put it up on the board.
Although, come to think of it, if we may be like cutting down on our prospects if we're just looking for adventurers who can actually read.
She nods, and like I think she like was going to put it up, and some of the people in the bar were like, "Oh, no, they're not." And like there's this like hesitation of should we go look at the board yet, or should we wait?
Might as well.
We would want someone on our team without at least one person in the group who is literate enough to read the flyer, because we are going on an expedition which is somewhat skilled. We will need someone who can identify the kinds of minerals that we're specifying.
Oh, I thought that was you.
And Mally's like holding.
I'd also like someone who can take directions.
Okay.
Did you want to make any changes before I put it up? I mean, first impressions are rather important, but it's a fine paper as it is now. I don't want to make you think that there's nothing wrong with it. And I want you to roll your adjusting contours to see how well you made this flyer, like the level of people or the like you're giving your Mary Poppins list of things, and depending on how well you roll, that'll
Cool. I don't have a particular skill for that. That is my magical ability or spell or whatever.
So just roll a d20.
Okay, cool. I like it.
Yeah. I think with advantage because you're using your magical ability. So.
Let's see if this works.
Nope.
That doesn't work. And then we'll just up.
Do it again. Oh, good. Advantage is good.
Yes.
Advantage is good.
Yeah, it's better than average. Like, it's nicer than some of the things that you put up. You can probably get a fairly talented group to go with you. And if there's anything else requirement-wise you would like, so someone who can read, at least one person. Okay.
Because I want someone who's in the rough adventuring world.
Okay.
But I want somebody who I can talk to without feeling like I'm talking over their head.
Sure. Someone clever. Okay. And what would you like, Colonel? What goals are you looking for?
I'm looking for meat shields whose head I can talk over.
Perfect.
I know just the fella. All right. I think I can assure that your adventuring party will have all of those things. So next time we play, I will have an adventuring group ready for you to talk to and set out to find those crystals with.
Yes.
Yeah, excellent. Anything last minute scenes you wanted to do between each other as you like walk out of the bar? I think Valley finally like puts up the poster, and then like as you're walking out, like people are like a couple people are standing up and like going over to look at it. Yeah. To see what the deal is, and like they're talking amongst themselves, and They're of all sizes and shapes and skill proficiencies. And I think as the scene cuts away, it's like there's 3 people left standing. There's like somebody's silhouette who's like no hair and just like armor all the way down.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's like a thinner person who's like a very tall, like pompadour haircut, and it's kind of like slouching on the bar. And then there's this, you think it's just those 2 for a second, and then you see like a little head pop up, like they're trying to jump up to see the board. And then the one with the bald hair just like reaches down and grabs them and like holds them up. And it's a little halfling that has this like strange backpack harness thing with a whole bunch of stuff attached to it.
Mm-hmm.
That's just like, and then like they adjust a bunch of goggles and they like peer closer at it. And they're like, yeah, that's good. And then like they have them lower down and they reach back down. They pick up a war hammer that's like their size and they put it over their back, and it rests perfectly on their backpack.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's perfect.
Yeah, I think that's those are the friendos who have accepted your invitation for next time.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
And,
that looks pretty good. Although I'm a little bit disappointed that there weren't extras, because tryouts would have been murder.
Well, I'm just gonna do that and go home. Just shut it down. I'm gonna go cut the internet off.
Unplug the router.
Yeah, just go live in the woods. Just put a tent in my yard and not come inside ever again.
Sorry, not sorry.
Yeah, thank you for characterizing with me and world building, and
yeah,
I hope you had a little fun.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for running. That's cool.
Yeah. Thank you for hosting. And if we're gonna do shout outs, I should go last because I talked the most. I don't know how this works.
Okay. I'll go ahead. You can find me here at twitch.tv/RPGlory or on mixer.com also /RPGlory. You can find archives of my stuff at youtube.com/c/RPGlory, and you can yell at me directly on Twitter at RPGlory DOTCOM. And I will be back tomorrow for should be cartoon ninjas in space. We're gonna have a race. It's gonna be crazy. And then on Wednesday, which has been kind of chaotic and up in the air, I have every hope that we're going to be starting monsters and other childish things, which is a really cool horror comedy RPG about children and their horrible monster friends. And that's at should be at 10 a.m. Pacific. The thing tomorrow being at 4 p.m. also Pacific. And then Daser, you're not gonna. You mentioned that you can't make next week, right?
I'm gonna try to get this Wednesday. Like I think 2 days ago was my last one, so I'm gonna try to make sure that I have Wednesdays off. So.
Okay, I hope
we
so.
hired a bunch
awesome.
of people like a few weeks, and we tried to plan for it. But I will definitely let you know by tomorrow or perhaps later today.
Okay.
Yeah, but I should I'm 90% sure I'm going to be in. It sounds really fun to do, so I will talk to you over the weekend about that.
Cool. Okay.
Sure.
And then I'm not sure what the plan is for next week because you can't make that, right?
I cannot make that.
Okay.
There were a couple of outs for that. Yeah.
Okay.
I double booked. I triple booked actually.
No worries.
So.
Yeah, like even if we don't get together, I have so much. I've got a bunch of notes of stuff to work on the game, so I may just do that.
Because I like live streaming the work on it just because it is motivation to work on it rather than just like watch videos or something else. Anyway, that's me. I've gone on.
Yay!
Hi, I'm Adam / Dark Lavender Void, and next Saturday is my birthday. So
happy birthday!
I don't know if I'll be doing things on that day or not. So we'll just see what happens next time.
And what is it that you do? Tell us about yourself more. Where can people find you? Should you want to be found?
Yes.
Oh no! Perhaps they dropped out. Perhaps it was very dramatic.
Well,
they on Twitter at Dark Lavender Void without one of the E's, and they are working on a game.
They have a also
Patreon?
Dark Lavender Void. I think the Patreon doesn't have the E. I'm not sure about the or doesn't have one of the E's. The one at the end.
Google, you'll find them.
Yeah.
So I'll divide. I'm
Internet God.
Internet
God.
Hello.
Okay.
You're back. We tried to remember your stuff. We're like, which E doesn't it have? On which? There's an E missing. You have to find it.
Yeah. It's missing an E in the same way that Tumblr is missing an E.
Yeah, the cool way.
Yeah. So before I froze, I said I'm making a game called Mortally Bankrupt, which is a game about a reality show where you're watched by eldritch horrors, and it's great.
I'm very excited.
Indeed.
Mm-hmm.
Play that sometime.
Yep.
Yeah. Once you feel comfortable with the rules.
Yeah. I think I just need to make like a tiny little change. Like it's a pretty fundamental change, hack-wise.
Yeah.
So it's important that I get it right.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise, I think it should be ready pretty soon.
Excellent. And, I also wanted to thank you guys for introducing a way to do dueling and negotiation into my game this time. And I have made a note about how to do that more mechanically.
Yeah, so, I really loved how that role was structured with not just like the general outcome, but like specifying
layers of success.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah, because a lot of times indeed it's like, oh, if you get a great success, then the DM would tell you what happens, and you can do that for fighting and stuff. But for negotiations, you're having a conversation. It's sort of like a shortened way to do that, and these are things that you would bring up. And I would bring up like during the conversation that happened. Like I imagine that whole thing happened over like the course of an hour and a half, but we don't want to spend time bickering. So we sort of lay out like levels of success or failure.
Mm-hmm.
So I know there was something I needed to work on for that. So thank you.
Yeah.
And that means it's me. I'm on Twitter at Adaser and on twitch.tv/thepashpanda, and I have a Patreon that's Jean _Adaser. Yes, where I do RPG icons, and I will hopefully be getting those out soonish. More like I've just finished the Turtle Folk, so if you're into Turtle Folk, maybe pop over and consider being a patron. And I have 366 icons that I will be finishing up in the next month, hopefully.
Wow.
And there's already 25 up on there. And yeah, it's an adventure. I love RPGs. So many. I know.
Yeah.
It's a lot. It's a lot of people. Yeah, and thank you again for letting me run Meatybones. And
again, thank you.
That's all I have to say.
So, yes, thanks again, everyone. And if you enjoyed this, if you enjoyed this, please do follow, subscribe, whatnot. I would very much appreciate it.
It's a good channel.
Mm-hmm.
Bye.
Farewell.